Alrighty, guys, we are back. This time with House Hlaalu. What are they? So, House Hlaalu, like many of the other great houses of Morrowind, have their roots, their origins, and their more notably changes throughout history. Now, House Hlaalu has some very interesting and probably the most drastic changes that we're ever going to see in the whole series. As far as houses go, they are pretty much the encompassing of the very definition of the word adaptable. So, kind of keep that in the back of your mind when I start talking about the history, the lore, what it is that they aspire to be, and then the role playing, like how would you immerse yourself as a Hlaalu member. So, let's discuss this. Starting off with, what were they in the beginning? Long ago in the beginning, back when the houses were new, Morrowind was just now being settled, the Dunmer people didn't quite exist yet, they were still Chimer. Well, with the great houses, they all had their own symbolism. Hlaalu was mostly the quick guys. They were quick, fast, bows, daggers, knives, leather armor. This was their shtick. Now you may be wondering, that sounds exactly like a assassin. And Hlaalu is not that, no. But in the beginnings, we could see this is what they adhered to. And it makes sense, because if you're quick, if you can get in, get out, less harm to you, less damage done to everybody around you, and therefore everyone can get along with their day. This is sort of what Hlaalu is more or less encompassed of, is this sort of mindset of we're not trying to cause damage, we're just trying to get in, do our business, and leave. That being said, one of their traits that is very interesting is they are negotiators. They are the people who would see different parties squabbling, and they're not the most charismatic individuals, mind you. Hlaalu doesn't aspire for their applicants to have this handsome Squidward face, to have a body sculpted like a Greek god. No. They just want you to be skilled in the art of speechcraft. The ability to come in, see a guy who's about to more or less murder his wife because, well, she's cheating on him, and to be able to put your hand on his shoulder and say, listen, buddy, your dick is now free to sail the ocean seas and dip into countless amounts of lakes. Let this lady go. And then they both actually shake hands and say, you know what, this was a great deal. Yeah, thanks, man. I never thought of it this way. And then they break apart and say la vie. This is what Hlaalu is really for. Their main shtick has been making sure the community is more or less whole, and making sure that whatever happens between squabbling, they're able to diplomatically settle it, even though it may not involve them whatsoever. Now, when they do get involved, though, they usually want a piece of the pie. So if it's a merchant who is competing with another merchant because they both sell similar quality items, Hlaalu may settle their dispute saying, listen, we'll guarantee that so-and-so amount of people will come to your stores, but we want a percentage. Now, you may say, why would both merchants agree to this? Well, it hurts business to fight, and it hurts everybody involved to keep conflict going. Hlaalu understands this, and this is their forte. They are not necessarily allied to everybody, but they're on good terms with everybody. And the reason why is because of this. They see people arguing, they step in. Sure, it's not their business to begin with, but they help both sides see each other, talk to each other, and they get all the things squabbled. This is what they were more or less known for, and this is why they're so important, especially when you have 5 different great houses who all have their own traditions, their own beliefs, and they're all pretty headstrong. So this is where Hlaalu is very important in these early days. They kind of keep the cohesion going. This, of course, all goes out the window when we start talking about Morrowind. Morrowind is when the Dark Elf people have existed for quite a while now, well over 1,000 years, and they've cultivated the lands. Here we see House Hlaalu in its highest, glorious days. House Hlaalu is very interesting because we see what they are in their total grandest capacity. In fact, when you play Morrowind, this is the height of their strength. This is pretty much their world. They own everything. And this is what Hlaalu has been building for For you see, in the second era, when we play Elder Scrolls Online, we see that House Hlaalu allies with House Redoran pretty quickly. And the reason why is because House Redoran is really the big dogs. And this is why some people don't like House Hlaalu. They seem like suck-ups. They kind of kiss ass. They love to smooch up anyone's buttocks. Anyone who's got the biggest booty cheese is the one getting their lips. This is what House Hlaalu does. As a reminder, they're supposed to be on good terms with everybody. That being said, House Hlaalu hires mercenaries most of the time to deal with their squabbles, and they usually negotiate their problems away. This being said, you can imagine how different it is in Morrowind, where, when we play the game, House Hlaalu is the top dog. House Redoran is the weakest it's ever been. It actually is on the verge of being disintegrated, destroyed entirely. House Telvanni is a little weak itself. House Indoril is getting completely butchered. And then House Dress is having its own political turmoil. So where does House Hlaalu sit? They are the ones who are negotiating the deals with the Empire, and they have managed to orchestrate it where they own all the ebony mines. They have orchestrated with mercenaries and Imperial Legion forces to claim land that was belonging to other people. This is where it gets really interesting, is that House Hlaalu was able to negotiate and manage a way where they are the only ones who sell ebony to the Empire. This is an astounding amount of wealth. Funny enough, despite being the only providers of ebony to the Empire, House Hlaalu does deal in smuggling, illegal activities of smuggling ebony to other buyers. Now you may wonder, why would House Hlaalu do that? Well, the answer is, they want their hands in all the pies, okay? Just a giant factory of pies, all sorts of businesses, all sorts of deals, everything. They want their hands in everything. They say, oh look, we see someone smuggling ebony ore out. We're not going to stop the crime because look how profitable it is. So instead, we're going to make them smugglers pay us a toll because we're going to help them smuggle. So we get some of their cheese. This is House Hlaalu in its finest. Because, hey, what happens if these smugglers become the best booming industry in the goddamn series? Then at least House Hlaalu has good friends. This is their mindset in its entirety. And here's where it gets a little confusing with their relationships in the game itself. You see, the very king of the Dark Elf people is a Hlaalu person, which is great. That means their clan has even more power. But one of the interesting things about House Hlaalu is that, politically speaking, they're friends with everybody. And this is where it gets a little confusing. See, there's the Kemona Tong, who are Dark Elf supremacists, who are assassins as well. And they are literally run by the brother who's the leader of the House Hlaalu. So they are very close, entwined, hand in hand. After all, they do share similar skills. And the funny thing is that the Kemona Tong are very hostile. They flat out don't allow outsiders in some of their bars. They flat out tell you, if you come up to a Kemona Tong, they literally tell you, oh yeah, we're going to kill you all in your sleep, by the way. It's not going to happen today, but just know that you're a useless dog. You don't matter. You literally don't have a life or a soul, and I'm going to literally slit your throat one day. So just know that and get the fuck out of my bar. That's what a Kemona Tong says to you in Morrowind. I am not joking. They all are hostile as fuck. But yet, House Hlaalu's friends with them. And they're friends with everybody else. And this is where it gets even crazier. There are slaves. Because Morrowind, the Dark Elf people, slavery is a big part of their culture. House Dress has giant plantations full of Argonian slaves. And House Hlaalu has their own plantations with slaves. They're friends with them. They're friends with the slave markets. But you know who else they're friends with? Abolitionists. They are deep friends with those who are trying to enact laws to get rid of slavery, to make it illegal just like it is in the Empire. So you kind of see the picture here. House Hlaalu is friends with everybody, and yet kind of nobody at the same time, because the people they're friends with clash. The people they're friends with are a little fucking crazy. But at the same time, by them keeping friends with everybody, They could just sit back and just watch the political game play and see who becomes the top dog. And they can influence things. Like, for instance, the king Helseth, he makes it where, boom, Morrowind now no longer does slavery. House Hlaalu does not suffer this because, well, they've been friends with the Empire for a very long time. So by them getting rid of slavery, who does it hurt the most? It cripples House Dress. House Dress is built on slavery. House Indoril has slavery as well. House Hlaalu, yeah, they lose a few of their plantations, but I mean, they could easily just buy fucking people to come work there. This is something that they have at their disposal that no other house has. And this is why I want to point to Morrowind, is what are they doing in Morrowind? In the very game Morrowind, if you join House Hlaalu, you'll get the notion very quickly that they are, in fact, in charge of the goddamn world. House Redoran is the weakest faction, and it's all because of House Hlaalu. Now, House Redoran didn't lose to House Hlaalu in a glorious battle or in some sort of crusade. No. Simply put, House Hlaalu made deals with the Empire and said, okay, so we own this. Oh, and now we also have the rights to say who can build in Morrowind. So if you want to build a settlement, you have to come to us and give us money so you can now build on this piece of land. And here's a written deed from the Empire that you can now build there. With this in their mind, this means that they can castrate anybody. They could say, oh, you want a piece of land to build a settlement? Yeah, we're not giving you anything. Oh, you want a piece of land to build? We're going to put it right where this volcano is about to explode. Right there. Yep, you'll be safe. Good piece of land. Good deal. Give me 50,000 gold. This is where Hlaalu is very fascinating with their underhandedness, where they come in and they show a deed and they say, hey, House Redoran, you think you own this mine, but reality is, look at this deed. It's actually ours. Pack your stuff up, get out. And this is what they did. They bullied House Redoran out of existence. So now House Redoran only has one way of making money, which is their very, very simple mercenary work and their very simple leather working. Which, by the way, you end up destroying that if you join House Hlaalu. Because House Hlaalu, one of their missions is to literally go to Vivek City and find the only House Redoran merchant that exists in the city and to bully her into submission to where she no longer has a store or she now gives you money. So, yeah. And you want to know what she sells? She sells guar pelts. So she's a leather worker. She's just selling leather. And you manage to now cut House Redoran entirely out of the markets. Yeah, it's really interesting. And then there's also other deals too in House Hlaalu's quest lines where you forge documents, you gain pieces of land through this forgery. You also do a few other underhanded tactics like pretending to be other people and altering their communications between their own houses. Now there is one house in particular. We've been talking about House Indoril, House Dress, House Redoran, but there's one house in particular that's actually a problem for House Hlaalu. So House Hlaalu is super rich. They have all these mercenaries. Every single member of their house is overflowing with gold. They give you 1,000 gold for just the simplest quest because that's how rich they are. To them, 1,000 gold is nothing. But there is a house that's fighting them and is a rival to them. And you know what house that is? House Telvanni. Now, what's really funny is that with House Hlaalu, they negotiated a deal with the Empire saying that the Empire will respect the traditions of their people. Great. House Hlaalu likes this. Yeah, respect our traditions. And my tradition is to undercut every person around me. But House Telvanni, they didn't think about this. House Telvanni's tradition is might makes right. If I come in and I summon a giant blizzard and kill every person in this village, I now own this village, per my cultural traditions. House Hlaalu had no idea how to deal with this. In fact, there's a lot of quests involving House Hlaalu where they tell you to kill the Telvanni, and they call them evil. That's very interesting. They don't call them like, just trouble starters. No. They call them evil. And the reason why they're calling them evil is because they're mad at them. They're mad at them because they can't manipulate them. To them, it's rather cut, dry, and simple. If you come to my land and you show a deed that's written by the Empire or written by you, written by anybody, and it says that you now own my house, and I'm a Telvanni mage, I'm just going to step outside real quick, rub my eyes, adjust it to the sun, see what sort of bogus you're spitting, and then just flay your ass alive and just leave you as a burnt crisp and then walk back inside and burn the goddamn writ with it. And that's really what House Hlaalu's stuck with. They really don't know how to deal with House Telvanni because of this issue. House Telvanni has their traditions, and unfortunately, they're stuck with it. This is why they have you or mercenaries harass the Telvanni and try your best to actually hurt them. But of course, that's a very moot point, and it doesn't really work out the way that they hope. That being said, how does House Hlaalu look to the common people? So if I'm just a common schmuck, I would think the House Hlaalu is suck-ups. They dress like Imperials because the Empire is their strongest ally. But then in the second era, they dress more like traditional Dark Elves because House Redoran are traditional Dark Elves. So they just look like suck-ups. So how would I, a average citizen, look at House Hlaalu? The answer is, quite simply, with a little bit of respect. And the reason why is that House Hlaalu, for all of its faults, its corruption, its fumbles, they do give back to the community. They do build stuff. They help donate to temples. They give you money to help build up your business. They try to help everybody. And this is one of their core tenets, too. In fact, it's very heavily emphasized in Morrowind that in order to be a part of House Hlaalu, you have to have a good reputation with the community. It's not as deep as House Redoran. House Redoran literally makes you waste time on chores, like helping someone with their farm, helping someone with their animals, just useless kind of like chore day-to-day stuff. But when it comes to House Hlaalu, they don't really worry about that so much. They worry more about making sure that businesses are being well maintained, everyone's given equal opportunities, and those who are obviously gifted are promoted. If you are a really smart kid, and I'm a House Hlaalu guy, I'm not related to you and I don't really care about you. You'll probably never join House Hlaalu. But I see you're smart, and well, I've got well over 100,000 gold sitting in my bank. So, you know what? I'll help you through your schooling. You need books, whatever, you come to me, I'll pay your books. That's what a House Hlaalu does. And this is more or less the way that they operate. And this is why the common people, they may not like the corruption, they may not like how they just kind of sit around and don't do anything, but they do respect them to an extent because they know, hey, if I'm ever in a pinch, these guys will give me money, or they'll help me with a merchant get a job. They'll help in that way. They're not going to help me directly, but they'll help me in financial ways. So this is the role-playing segment. What would it be like to role-play as a House Hlaalu? Well, you would have to be some sort of street rat, some guy who knows who to go to, how to talk to, more or less your smuggler kind of person. Someone who's always got a quick quip, a good joke hiding in their pocket, a good ace up their sleeve in any sort of scuffle. Someone who's able to easily come into an area, see that they're not welcome, and make it where every single person wants to buy you a drink. This is the kind of person you're going to be. A person who's agile, able to sneak a coin or two out of someone's pocket. Someone who is understanding of social cues. So you see that a guy is staring at a Khajiit woman for a very long time. And you need this guy because he owns a diamond mine. And he doesn't want to do business with House Hlaalu. Well, you'll pay a Khajiit lady a few septims, and you tell her to go give your now new friend here quite an interesting private session with, the doors shut. That guy will come out and say, you know what? I don't mind working with the House Hlaalu. In fact, there's actually a guy, he's fucking creepy, in Morrowind, and he basically sexually assaults you and coerces you. It's very uncomfortable. But as the House Hlaalu, that's what you have to be. You have to be a person who can read the room, who sits around, stares at someone, and says, listen, you and I, we don't have to be friends. But you and I, we both like to make gold. We can do this together without really talking to each other. You have to be sweet with your words. And when things get rough, you have to be quick with a dagger. A quick 6 jabs here, walk away, watch him die over the counter. This is the way House Hlaalu operates. And if you're going to live your life as them, this is what you would be doing, is walking around city to city, helping merchants with their squabbles. And the reason why you're helping merchants with their squabbles is because these are people of money. These are allies that you can call upon. You can sit around and say, okay, look, I helped you. You make tinctures and medicine, so I expect you to give me a bit of a discount. And also, because you make medicine, I'll make sure this street vendor who's selling elixirs is out of business. Or I'll make sure that they lower their prices, so that way you have a better stance. And honestly, if I was to play Morrowind again and I was to do House Hlaalu, I would do a lot of donations. Like, you just approach random people and say, here's 50 gold, here's 100 gold. Because that's exactly what they do. They just walk around and say, listen, I got so much money. Look how extravagantly I dress. And you, my fellow Dunmer, here, take a few hundred septims on me. Don't even ask. I don't even care if you don't like me. Just take the damn money. And that's what I think is really interesting with them, is that they don't mind helping the temples, even though some of them do believe in the Imperial Pantheon. Some of them don't mind at all. And one of the interesting things with Morrowind's colonization, where you see all these imperial settlements, they were gifted by House Hlaalu. House Hlaalu is the one who orchestrated. After all, they're the ones who give out charters and deeds. So they're the ones who are saying, hey, come on in here, Nords and Bretons, come move into this area. We have a perfect spot for you guys. Now let's kind of talk a little bit about the history of Hlaalu in Skyrim. So despite being at the height of their power in Morrowind, Skyrim did a really bad service to Hlaalu. And it does make sense, but it doesn't make sense how far they've fallen. This is, as I said, Skyrim changes so much lore and setting, it's kind of insane. But, so with House Hlaalu, they're at the height of their power in Morrowind. The Oblivion Crisis happens, the mountain erupts, they're caught. They don't know what the fuck to do. And this is the issue too, is that with the Red Mountain erupting, one of the big things with House Hlaalu is they can't deal with a threat that they cannot bribe, undercut, persuade, or just hire mercenaries to deal with it. So when it comes to the Red Mountain erupting, House Telvanni, they have fire resistance. They just cast spells and just giant barriers of fire resistance. Or they make it where everybody in the city is just immune to fire and they just quickly walk out of the damn city. But when it comes to House Redoran, they're building up their stocks. They're building up blockades to help hold off the lava while they get people out. House Hlaalu, though, they don't know what the hell to do. They don't know what to do with a mountain erupting. They're just sitting there just shocked. And they're willing to pay anybody to take care of a solution. But the problem is there's no one around who could take care of this. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to get in there and help the community. They can't do that. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't understand the hard work and labor they're going to have to do. They're trying to buy all these tinctures and elixirs, but all they're doing is just ruining the market, and they're ending up preventing people from actually buying these elixirs of fire resistance and such. This is one of the issues with House Hlaalu, is whenever you put an enemy, like let's say there's a giant group of goblins about to attack a city. You cannot reason with them, you cannot argue with them. They are going to literally massacre the entire city. House Hlaalu's only defense would be to hire mercenaries. But what if a great flood happens? What if the city starts drowning? House Hlaalu doesn't know how to build boats. They don't know how to do this. They would try to pay all the boat people to help them, but there's not enough boats to go around, and you're just taking up all the resources. This is exactly the issue with Hlaalu. They don't handle emergencies well. They rely on their allies a little too much to handle this. And this is where, to make it even worse, when the Oblivion Crisis happens, it doesn't go very well for them. With Oblivion Gates popping everywhere, House Hlaalu starts retreating. A lot of their people start fleeing to the major cities like Narcissus, which is the main capital of Hlaalu, because they're seeking protection. And they're trying to hire all these mercenaries and warriors to help fight for them. But the problem is that these mercenaries are going home. These foreigners are leaving. So the only ones they could really hire are the Argonian mercenaries, which doesn't really do well for them because these Argonians would later attack and invade Morrowind, killing more Dunmer people. And then also, House Redoran is so weak, so crippled by all the underhanded bullshit that House Hlaalu just did to them, that House Redoran's unable to really meet this challenge. So here it is, House Hlaalu's like, here, take all this money, quick, Redoran, do something. And House Redoran's sitting there going, you can pay me all the money in the world. That doesn't stop the fact you want me to cut down a mountain. It's not going to happen. We're unprepared because of your actions, and this is what you reap. So in Skyrim, I was about to say Morrowind, but in Skyrim we see this, that House Hlaalu has been more or less exiled by the Dunmer people. Dunmer just don't want House Hlaalu at all. They banish it. Anyone who's from House Hlaalu is shamed for being part of such a disaster of a house, who rose to the top, the peak, the zenith of civilization, and then use that power to just fuck everybody. Use their power to just weaken everyone else. And then when two crises happened almost simultaneously, they did nothing. And as such, House Hlaalu was once a great house and had this very noble pursuit to it, almost very noble indeed, to now just this dreg of society. If you were ever born as a Hlaalu, you would keep that to your damn self and try to change your name. And this is where it sits. In Skyrim, you don't really get a choice to help Hlaalu regain its roots, unfortunately. Instead, you only have one mission, which is just to fuck them further, because they're trying to overthrow House Redoran, which isn't going to work, because they're a little too weak. And this is where they're dipping back into their assassin roots, where they are no longer so good at talking to people, but now just really good at stabbing people. Very big shame. But overall, I think House Hlaalu is very unique, very interesting. And, as I would say, one of the playthroughs I would give a go around on my second playthrough of Morrowind, but not on my first. First playthrough of Morrowind, I definitely recommend Redoran. Redoran was really, really fun. So besides that, see you guys next time.